Hey everyone, welcome back to Mental Health Matters. It has been a while since we made a new video, but we are back. My name is Katie, the Director of Christian Education here at Emmanuel. This is Shawn, licensed professional counselor with Standard Cross Counseling. Shawn, every week we've been putting at the end of our videos, if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss, reach out and let one of us know. And a couple times now, I have had someone reach out and ask about like mental health care and support for people acting as caregivers for family members. So the strain that they endure by now being that person who has to care for either someone with a mental health condition or someone with a physical health condition, just the stress that that places on a person and ways to support them. So that I'm just going to throw that very broad topic out there and let you decide how you want to approach that.
This can be one of the most difficult things to tackle. We even hear this in counseling gatherings, staff meetings, if you work with a team, to make sure you are taken care of. It's very hard for the caretakers to do their thing well if they're not also taken care of. So um, this is a really difficult and important thing. And one of the reasons it's so difficult, by the way, if you're watching this or you're seeing the topic and it applies to you, um, we don't like taking care of ourselves because we're a caretaker. So if I'm somebody who's designed by God to care for others, I tend to be less effective at caring for myself. But that's why when God taught Paul to talk about the different functions of the body of Christ, before I get into what that's supposed to look like as a function in mental health, the purpose for it biblically, when Paul talks about the body and its parts. So um, none of those parts are independent from each other, even though some seem to function theoretically independently and I can see, I guess. But in reality, the body wouldn't function without the eye seeing. And
Sure.
even if the eyes could see and the mind thought it was a good idea to go there, the feet need to function to get there. So the people who take care of the caretakers are that important as well. They're probably the hands of the caretaker. So first thing is first, I guess, and it would be understand it is important that you uh, get taken care of or take care of yourself, however you see fit. Some people, watch a good movie or have a great pizza or a hot dog, and they're good to go. And some people need to just uh, uh, go to some cabin and sleep for 24 hours, whatever that person needs to recharge. But sometimes when we're taking care of people, we're in a situation where it's difficult to do anything to take care of them, of ourselves too. Uh, Give me maybe some context to start with about the struggle of a caretaker, a caregiver.
Sure. So I'm thinking some of the people that I've heard from, I believe, have like physical health situations in their home that they're helping to care for either a spouse or a child or an elderly parent. Um, and that is taxing, especially for them as they are either aging themselves or balancing a full time career and then also trying to be a caregiver for this person and what exists or what supports could they look to care for their own well-being.
The part of the body of Christ the metaphor that Paul was using still applies here. It's just important for us to have first heard, which I just did, that everyone needs care. We're made by God for community and for care, supporting each other. If we believe I'm in a place where I'm on this island and I care for people when they're on my island and when they're not, that everything's fine. I understand and accept that people say that, and I have worked with people in those situations that say that. And it's not that they're wrong, but are they really getting their tank filled back up again? Uh, so the most important thing when people are asking you this, or when people are asking me this, is your tank does need to be refilled. No matter how strong you feel God made you, your tank does run out. It is not unusual. It's not unnatural. It's not sinful. And you're not a failure when your tank is empty. God created the entire universe. And then on the seventh day, he rested. God did not need to rest. He's God. If he can make a whole universe, he sure doesn't need a break. So he took a rest on purpose to tell us that's how important that recharging time is. It really is. Um, we call it Sabbath for a reason, a time of rest and reflection, a time for God. So let's first not deceive ourselves to think we don't need that care for ourselves. Then you don't have to be selfish, and you don't have to feel like you've put other people, other things off for self care. That's not what it is. No, it is just the fact that human beings need that caretaking. So how does that work in your situation? There's a million different ways this could look, and that is up to you. I've already mentioned a couple semi jokingly that go to a baseball game, and suddenly I feel better sitting out in the sun watching a baseball game. Then that's what you do. You're not neglecting anybody when you're saying, can you stay with your uncle or grandparent or son or daughter, whoever is ailing or has a disability and needs care for. You're not neglecting them. You're getting your tank filled back up again to care for them better than when your tank is completely empty.
Sure. Yeah, I was thinking a couple things that you already touched on. Um, as you were talking, my brain was going and thinking, first, as someone who is not a caregiver of like another individual in my home, but I caregive certainly for my job, but I'm guilty of not taking care of myself. And um, I think a lot about um, the design for human beings to be in relationship with one another, and that overlaid with our culture of independence and freedom and privacy, and I can do what I want, and what I do in my house is what I do in my house, which is true. But I feel like sometimes then we end up pushing those people away, and then we find ourselves in that position where it is hard to ask for help, or we don't know who we would, because
Mm-hmm.
we have spent our whole lives just taking care of our own stuff, which we value, and then sometimes we forget that benefit of having other people around us.
I guess it's a good moment to remind us all, when you hear take care of yourself and um, uh, first things first, and taking care of number one. Remember, all of those thoughts and all those themes and everything that goes with it is with the ruler of this world, which, by the way, is not it's not God, because He gave it over for a purpose. The ruler of this world, as described in the Bible, is Satan. So when you hear the world give you advice on what you should or shouldn't be doing, it's not biblical advice. Rest assured that directly or indirectly, it's coming from Satan. So we can just throw that out. If I feel like I need, this is if it's biblical, if it's in concert with the Bible, um, then it's a good thing. If it's for my ability to recharge and rest because God did it as an example to then serve people, then it's a good thing. But if I'm putting other people off and other things off because of what I want above and beyond other people, we're on a whole different topic now. Now we're serving ourselves. The nice thing is this topic really wasn't about serving ourselves. It's how the people who serve uh, are able to get care that they need. And the first thing is to know you're not neglecting anyone by self-care, and it doesn't have to be called self-care. It's I need that time to recharge. I need somebody that helps me fill that tank back up, or a thing that helps me fill that tank back up, whatever that is, however God made you. And that could be anything for anybody, um, as long as it's within God's confines. So
Sure.
I think the first thing is to know they're not we're not doing anything wrong when we need to recharge our battery. And the second one is, if you want to take better care of other people, and that's what we do as caregivers, you've got to take care of yourself in a healthy way first.
Yeah. Yeah, as you were just saying that, I was thinking about Jesus in the story of feeding the 5,000. The disciples have just returned from being sent out to do ministry, and they're tired and they're grumpy, and then this whole crowd comes. Jesus has told them to go rest, but then this whole crowd comes, and so they serve a little bit longer, and then Jesus says, "You go. I'll finish up here,
Yeah.
and you go rest and take care of yourselves." And I think sometimes we forget to do that part for ourselves too.
That's right. We do. Sometimes we do the opposite, and we're selfish about our own time. But talking about caregivers, we do tend to give up a lot more of that because we feel like we're supposed to. We have to. We're made that way, and that does not mean that we don't have a time of rest and recharge.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm sure that there will be more questions coming in on that as people get a chance to watch this, but it seems like a good place to stop for today. So thanks again. And for you guys watching, if you do have additional questions for us, feel free to reach out and let us know, and we'll be happy to tackle those as well. Have a great rest of your week.